ready when you are.
Well, we've finished our interview, a conversation with Motzi, and he's very sincere, seems to be a very nice fellow. He's studying to be an imam. He's a sheikh now. When I was there last week, I spent some time in the mosque, and as I was visiting with him, an American came in, and he sat down with us, and we had a long conversation. And he grew up in Texas, not too far from where my wife and I used to live, and he's a Muslim. And I said to him, and just to change the name, I'll call him Steve. I said, Steve, growing up in Texas, person of your age, I'm just kind of guessing that you grew up in a Christian family. And he said, oh yeah, I did. So how is it you made this transition to being a Muslim? And he shared that he had learned that there really wasn't writing in the days of Moses, and so Moses could not have written the Torah as he had been told as a child, and really writing did not develop fully until the 600s when Muhammad was here. And so writing was really, you can trust what you read in the Quran, but not the Bible. I was just amazed, because this is a person's spiritual life is all that matters, and reality is that's an argument that people were making back in the early 1800s. And by the end of the 1800s, we knew better. So here's a person who's basing his faith on information that is absolutely known to be wrong. I asked him where he went to school. It's Texas A&M. So I know what happened. I know that he must have had a professor there, may have taken the Bible as history or the Bible as English literature. And he was told what used to be said, that there was not good, clear writing until much later. It's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. I think that everyone ought to explore their faith, know for sure why they believe what they believe. I don't honor the Christian who grew up a Christian, and he's a Christian because his mom and his dad were, but he does not know on his own. He's not done the investigation. He's not done the careful study of the Bible. If you do a careful study of the Quran, what do you find out? You read Patricia Cronin, great scholar who read ancient Arabic and studied the trade routes of that era, found out there was no Mecca in the 7th century. All that story is made up. You look at the early mosques, they point towards Mecca, that is the Qibla. They point towards Mecca. I'll pause there for just a second. Let's see. You look at the fact that the standard doctrine of Islam is that those words were spoken by God to Muhammad. That's why some feel strongly it should never be translated from that ancient Arabic, even though it's not understood by modern Arabic speakers, not understood well at all. And the largest population of Muslims in the world is Indonesia. And because they teach you can't translate it, they haven't read the Quran. So this is just foolish, in my opinion. They need to know whether or not that is God's word or not. Well, now we have 2 copies of ancient Qurans that in recent years were uncovered. They were in Istanbul, in the museum there, and a couple of Muslim scholars were allowed to study those. And what do we find out? They don't match at all. We now have several ancient copies of the Quran that don't match at all. And so to say that the Quran are the very words of God and were given to us by God and they can't be changed because they're perfect in their present form, well, they don't even match. And you consider Muhammad, the what I would call immorality, marrying a 6-year-old girl, consummating that marriage when she was just 10, and yet he's supposed to be the perfect example for all men. You can see the problem. No, people need to know, and by careful study you can know the Bible is God's Word. Nothing else is.